Today is February 25th, 2018. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Ken Jaggers in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
Coffeeville, Kansas.
And when's your birthday?
October 23rd, 1931.
1931. Who is your father?
Harry L. Jaggers.
And your mother?
Bessie Jaggers.
What was her maiden name?
Ward?
Ward. Okay. You go through school in Coffeeville?
Yes.
Graduated what year?
1949.
1949. What type of work did your father do?
He worked for Sinclair Oil Company.
Okay.
He was a chemist for Sinclair.
Where did you live in Coffeeville?
Route 1, which was southwest of Coffeeville, about 5 miles.
Okay. You live on a farm?
Lived on a farm.
What chores you do in the farm?
Hoed corn, milked cows, took care of the chickens and cleaned out the chicken house, worked in the garden, and baled hay, shoveled lots of cow manure, and we milked 24 head of cows. And so my job was to clean out behind the cows.
Yep. How big was the farm?
83 acres.
83 acres. Do you remember when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
What did you think about that?
I didn't understand it all, but I was kind of shocked to think that some other country would do that to the United States.
During the war, did you help with the scrap metal drives and rubber drives?
Yes, and also we gathered milkweed to put in the life jackets for the Navy. We collected a lot of milkweeds on the farm, and if they got to a certain point, they have some kind of a little cottony bud, and they'd take those out and put them in those jackets some way.
Where did you take the milkweed?
Down to downtown to a I forget it was a recycling place where they took the rubber. Everything went to the same place.
Okay. What did you do in VJ Day when the war ended?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I cheered just like everybody else, and was glad because I had two brothers that was in the service, and I was glad that they were going to get to come home.
Yeah. And they all came home.
They all came home.
Yeah. Just a second. In school, who was your favorite teacher?
Frank Carnes.
Why was he your favorite teacher?
Well, she was the most.
She.
She.
Frank.
F-R-A-N-C.
Oh, Frank. Okay. Why was she your favorite?
She was very disciplined. She shouldn't have been because she spanked me a lot. I had trouble in school, and I was the biggest boy in the country school. I went to country school, and she was just my favorite because she was always there for me.
Why would she spank you?
I had trouble with spelling. Every Friday when I couldn't get my spelling, that was a spanking day.
How large was the school, the country school? How many students?
Probably, there was 8 rows, first grade through 8th.
Is it one-room school?
One-room school, and there probably was maybe 20, more like 20 students in the school.
How'd she handle all the grades in one room?
Very, very disciplined. Everybody had their job that they had to do as far as lessons. They knew what they had to do, and they didn't give the teacher any problems.
And you graduated from Coffeeville High School?
Yes.
Okay. What'd you do after high school?
Right after high school, I was working for a grocery store, and I got married shortly after high school, and I had already moved into town into a one-room sleeping room, and worked at a grocery store. I was their delivery boy.
I didn't ask, what did you do for recreation in high school?
In high school?
Yeah.
Well, I run track, did swimming. That was about all. I didn't do a lot because I had to go back to the farm.
Okay. Now, when you were a delivery boy, who did you work for?
Bogart's Market on 3rd Street.
Bogart's Market. And how did you deliver the groceries?
In a little old truck, panel truck, and carried them in grocery sacks, delivered wherever they needed to go.
How big was Coffeeville in those days?
About 30,000.
Okay. I didn't ask, describe your house on the farm.
It was a big 2-story. Not a lot of rooms downstairs. I was one of 7 children, and we slept upstairs with no rooms. It was wide open. The girls and the boys all slept up there with curtains between them. In the wintertime, we nestled around the flue, which was brick, went all the way through, and it was warm. That's how we kept warm in the upstairs. And Mom and Dad were the only 2 that slept downstairs. All the other kids slept upstairs.
Now, how'd you keep the house warm? What kind of stove did you have?
Wood stoves.
Did you cut wood?
Oh yes, we cut wood, cut our own wood, and had the old type buzz saws. And it was a freestanding buzz saw, and we'd take a wheel off of a Model A, jack the Model A up, run a belt from the wheel to the buzz saw, and that's how we cut our wood up. And but we cut our own post oak, had a lot of post oak on the farm.
What day would your mother do laundry?
Almost every other day with that many children and them too.
What kind of washing machine did she have?
She had an old kick start. It was had an engine on the bottom of it. And she would kick start that and run it, and had 2 tubs, rinse and bleach.
And did she buy starch or make her own starch?
She bought starch.
Okay, okay. How long did you work for Bogart's?
About a year before I got married and we left Coffeeville.
And where'd you go?
Went to Wichita.
Why'd you go to Wichita?
Went there, a friend of mine was working up there, and he wanted me to come up to Boeing Aircraft and go to work up there. So I went up there, got interviewed, and got hired up there, and we moved to Wichita.
What'd you do at Boeing?
I worked as on the B-47 Stratojet as in the fuel nacelles, which was the gas tanks. We sealed the gas tanks on the 42 section of the B-47.
How tight was security?
Not
Boeing?
very tight then, not very tight, but you had to have a badge to get in.
When did you start working at Boeing?
1950.
1950. Where were you when North Korea invaded South Korea?
I was back at working at Continental Can Company in Coffeeville.
Okay.
I had left Wichita.
Okay.
went back to Coffeeville to the Continental Can Company.
What'd you do at Continental Can?
I was a riveter. We built the flaps for for the fighter jet, the flaps on that airplane.
Okay. And when did you start working at Continental Can?
In late 1950. I didn't stay at Boeing very long.
Okay, okay. Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I got a letter from Harry Truman congratulating me. I was drafted in September of 1952.
Where'd you go for your basic training?
Fort Chaffee, Arkansas.
Tell me about basic.
Well, the first, I believe the basic is 6 weeks long, I think, and that was infantry basic. We took an infantry basic. After my infantry basic, I went right into the artillery basic, and I learned artillery until, for I think it was 6 weeks artillery basic.
What type of training did you have in basic?
Well, it was, of course, rifles, infiltration course, lots of marching, a lot of discipline, but it was very educational.
Tell me about your drill instructors.
Our field first was a son of a gun. He was rough, but he was very, very disciplined on the men. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that because we all learned a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's your most vivid memory of basic?
Mainly standing in line for everything. But I think that the infiltration course, where we crawled under the barbed wire with live ammunition, that time it was pouring down rain, and it was about 6 inches deep with mud. And we crawled under there with our rifles, and when we got back to the barracks, they just turned the showers all on us and marched us through the showers to get us clean, or halfway clean.
How did your basic compare with your artillery training?
It was a little rougher. Artillery we were in classes learning about the 105 howitzers.
Okay. So you're on the 105?
105 howitzers.
What's the crew of the 105 howitzer?
4.
4. What did you do?
I did a little of each one. Mainly, I like to pull in the lanyard, because that's the one that set it off.
Now, what does each crew member do? The 4 guys, what do they do?
One of them cut the charge. One of them loaded the charge. The other one, first he put the one put in the projectile, and then the other one pulled the lanyard.
Mm-hmm. And your artillery training lasted how long?
6 weeks.
Now, what's the difference between a howitzer and a regular artillery piece?
It's smaller than I don't know what a regular one is, but we had nothing to do with anything but the 105s.
Okay, 105 howitzer.
That's all we did, worked on.
Now, what does a howitzer do?
What does it do?
Now, I've heard some, does it fire up, fire straight, or what does it do?
It will fire about any direction you want it to do.
Okay.
For instance, it depends on what charge you put in it. Okay. One of our men, we always cut 5, which was right out at some old tanks out in the field. And we'd fire at those old tanks. With 5 charges, you put 7 in it, you've overshot. Then's when one of the farmers began to come and talk to the camp. Why did you shoot an artillery piece into my pasture where my cows are. And that didn't happen very often.
Yeah. How large is each charge?
It's about, it was about 14 inches long, about 3 inches in diameter.
Okay. Now, when you pull the lanyard, what sets the charge off?
The, well, the firing mechanism, there's a pin in there that it shot, and as soon as it hit that charge, it went off.
Okay. What's the range of a 105?
Well, depends on the charge,
Okay.
but if you put a 7 charge in there, it's going to go almost a mile.
Okay. And how long did your artillery training last?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So after your artillery training, where'd you go?
I got my orders. They put us in a big bleachers, and they began to call out your name and the orders. They would tell you where you were going. And that's when I got my orders for FECOM, which is the Far East Command. Once you got your Far East FECOM orders, you knew you were going to Korea. So I went from there. They gave us only 7 days, not a leave, 7 days delay en route. I came home, visited for 7 days, went back to Chaffee, loaded on buses, went to Salisaw, I believe, and it was there. From there, we put on bigger buses and bigger caravan to Kansas City. We went to Kansas City. There we got on a troop train, and we were on our way to Tacoma, Washington.
Tell me about the troop train.
Well, it was a troop train, nothing but military. And it was pretty nice. We had, they'd come through and make our bunks up, but we sat in kind of like a booth where you faced one another, but they would come through. They had a nice dining car, and it was enlightening because we got to see a lot of the country.
You had bunks on the train?
They make the bunks down out of these booths that we were sitting in.
Okay. And what'd you do in, you say you went to Seattle?
Went to Seattle, Washington, went to
Fort Lewis?
Fort Lewis, and I was there for over a week. And it was strictly drilling, just a little of the basic training. You know, we didn't have rifles yet, but we did a lot of drilling and KP and things like that. They were trying to make up a troop ship. And of course, when they got the troop ship done, we loaded up.
What, you recall the name of the ship?
Yes, sir. Marine Lynx.
Lynx, L-Y-N-X?
L-Y-N-X.
Was it an SS or USS? Or do you recall?
It was run by the Navy Reserve.
Okay. How big was the Marine Lynx?
Well, probably, I'd say at least a half a block long. I don't know how many men were on it.
Do you recall the date you left the States?
No.
Was it 1953?
No, it was 1952.
1952. Okay. What were your quarters on the ship?
Where in the ship? Down in the bottom. And it was, they were 4 high, bunks, very close, and very rough. When we left Puget Sound, out Puget Sound, we were doing okay. We could stand on the deck and watch the cities along the way. And then we went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and the ship was tossing. And it was that way till we got to Yokohama, Japan.
What were you told to do in case the ship was sinking?
We weren't told.
What were you going to do?
We were not told.
You have a life jacket?
No.
They have lifeboats?
Oh yes, had lifeboats.
Was there enough for everybody?
I think so.
How'd you pass the time on the trip?
They gave me a job. They put me on the fantail, the back of the ship, because I was hiding on the ship to keep from doing any jobs, and they found out what I was doing, so they gave me a bad job, they said. So they put me on the fantail washing mops, and that was a pud. We liked that. You tie a rope onto the mop and throw it overboard, and it drags behind the ship until you think it's clean. You drill it in and get another one.
Many guys get seasick.
Oh, you bet. Me included.
What do you do for seasickness?
Hang over the rail.
How about the meals on the ship?
They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Of course, you stand. You have to stand because it was a troop ship. It wasn't built for comfort.
What's your most vivid memory of that trip?
Mainly sitting back there on the back fantail washing mops, but I was sick a lot. And it was a little scary thinking that the nearest land was straight down. We never saw another ship. We saw very few big mammals, seen some flying fish, things like that, but nothing else. And it was a little boring.
What were you trying to hide when they caught you? What were you hiding?
Anywhere I could find, mainly in the kitchen. I would hide in the pantry a lot.
And the ship landed in
Yokohama.
Yokohama. What'd you do in Japan?
They put us into Camp Drake in Yokohama, and there we got oriented on Korea, and there we were issued an M1 rifle. And Joe, that's when I thought this is real, is when they threw that M1 in my hands. I said, this is real. And that was my M1 from then on till I got into my company in Korea.
Had you been assigned to a unit?
No.
Okay.
No, I hadn't been assigned, but they were making up another troop ship to take us from Yokohama to Busan.
How long were you in Japan?
About a week.
Have any contact with the local people?
No.
Okay.
No contact. We weren't even allowed, we were not allowed off the base at all.
Okay. So tell me about going from Camp Drake to Busan.
Okay, when we left Yokohama, we got on the Marine Serpent, another Marine ship, but we got on the Marine Serpent, and that was only about 1 day across the Japanese Sea, until we got to Busan.
Okay. Do you recall the date you landed in Korea?
No, I don't.
Was it late 52?
Yes.
Okay. So what'd you do in Busan?
We got oriented on a little more of Korea, the people, what we were there for. Then we were trying to get another troop train in. Well, it wasn't a troop train, it was a makeshift train that the Koreans had. We used it, and we were only there maybe 2 days before they got enough to take us on up to where we were, our company was supposed to be.
And where'd you go?
We went from Busan to Wonju.
How you spell Wonju?
W-A-N-J-U-E. And we got to Wonju We were supposed to meet the 32nd group there, but when we got there, they had moved on up toward the front. And we had nothing, there was nothing for us. And all the men got off the train left. Now we're stranded. What do we do? So we began to tell different people that we couldn't get to the 32nd group. Well, they'd already gone up to Chuncheon. Well, finally they got in touch with them and they sent trucks down and picked us up in Deuce-and-a-Half. And then we went on the road back up to Chuncheon.
What's the name again? Chuncheon?
Chuncheon.
You know how to spell that?
Chunchon.
Where's that located in Korea?
It's right in the center of the peninsula. It's probably a mile, maybe a mile and a half behind the 38th parallel.
Okay. And you said you were the 32nd group?
32nd group headquarters.
Okay. What'd you do in the 32nd group headquarters?
Well, can I tell you what we did when we got there?
Sure.
We got there in the middle of the night, and they told us that, see those tents up on the hill? You get in those tents and wait until you're contacted. Well, you put all these men, probably 50 or 60 of us, and we got into these tents. There was nothing but a cot for each man. So we just bungled down on those, and then the next day they came in, started calling names and taking those out. And this went on for 2 days. And here I am waiting on them to tell me to where I'm going. And finally it ended up there was only 2 of us left in the tent. And so we thought, well, have they forgot us? Finally they came in, they said, you 2 are going to, there's 2 choices. And we need one to go to headquarters and one to go to a company. And he said, Jaggers, I'm going to give you your choice. The only choice I ever got in the Army was, and I said, I'll take the company. And they said, then they said the other man would go to headquarters. They were in the same compound, headquarters and the company.
And the company was?
I went to the 306 Engineer Dump Truck Company.
Dump truck company.
And they had just what it says.
What was your job?
My first job, they put me in as a company clerk, running the company, you know, doing all the paperwork for the company. That's morning report, which the Army, every unit has to have a morning report, as everybody will attest to. And so I worked at that for 4 months. And then they came to me, the commanding officer said, Jaggers, we need somebody to straighten up our motor pool bookwork. Can you do it? I said, I will try. So I went to the motor pool, ran the motor pool for 6 months. And then they said, came and got me and said, now we need a personnel sergeant. We want you back into the orderly room running the personnel. So then I went back there and stayed as personnel sergeant till I left.
Now, did you have any training as a clerk or personnel sergeant?
Just, I could type. That's about all. But I learned. But I was responsible for making sure that the safe was always locked, passing out the password to the guards, making sure people got on R&R when they were scheduled, and took care of whatever the commanding officer and exec officer needed, made sure that nobody got out of line. And then once I got to be personnel, then they give me the authority to court-martial. Court-martialed a lot of people.
For what?
A lot of things. Drunk on duty. If they got venereal disease and didn't report it. If they left the base without authorization. Then if they didn't show up after a while, you had to show up for morning reveille. If you didn't show up, that was these were all summary court-martials. And mainly drunk on duty, lots of drunk on duty, and lots of the venereal disease.
What was the weather?
Cold, cold, doubly cold. I mean, it could snow, but it was, I think it's the only country in the world where you can stand knee-deep in mud and choke to death on the dust. That's very hot in the summertime, but extremely cold. I had our trucks, being the engineers, we had trucks, a lot of trucks, and the trucks would have time starting because of the cold weather.
Now, had Korea been stabilized at the 38th parallel?
No, because the MLR was in front, was north of the 38th parallel.
MLR.
Main line of resistance.
Okay.
That was up, the MLR was in front of the 30th parallel.
Okay.
I don't know how far, maybe a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile.
Okay.
Our trucks would haul concertina wire, barbed wire up to the front to try to stop the in any onslaught of them pushing in.
Okay. Now, did you dispense the trucks?
Yes.
Okay.
We had 52 5-ton dump trucks. We supported the line companies because they would blow up bridges, they would blow up roads, they would cause landslides, things like that. We loaned the line companies that was going to fix them. We loaned them the trucks, or we would send trucks there. And the dump trucks, not too many deuce and a halves, but we had 21 deuce and a halves, 8 weapons carriers, and about 20 Jeeps. There was our vehicles, plus we had wrecker in case, and once in a while a wrecker would have to take a truck to ordnance. Once, well, they would slip in through our fence around our compound and set off something in our trucks, blow up a truck, the motors, do something.
Okay.
You love that.
They said they'd sneak across and blow up a truck?
Oh, yes. Yes, the guy would get out there to hit the starter and it would blow up the part of the engine.
Now, were these North Koreans or Chinese doing this?
The enemy.
The enemy, the enemy.
That's all we knew.
Okay.
Because we never seen them. But they would some way get under the barbed wire where the guard didn't see them.
Were you, did you think the Chinese or North Koreans ever come across and attack the base in full force?
No, because we were pretty well set. 45th Division was up there. They were doing an excellent job, and the MLR was really set deep.
Now, were you assigned to a division, or were you an independent unit?
We were with the 8th Army.
8th Army, okay. Okay. Have any contact with the local people?
Oh, yes.
What was their attitude towards you?
They accepted us. They didn't brag on us, but they didn't hate us. But most of them was trying to make money off of us any way they could. Young kids, older people too. Of course, they have dealt with ladies of the night, lots of those. They told us that once the fighting was over, they would kill them, you know, but I don't think it ever did because we're still there. Yeah. And but matter of fact, we had when I was in a tent, we had a little houseboy we hired to come in, and he was a nice young man.
What was his name?
Oh, come soon.
Oh, come soon.
That was his name.
What kind of quarters did you have?
An 8-man tent. It did have a wood floor. Of course, us being engineers, we were able to get that. So we were able to get lumber. We would put down wood floors and a frame, and then the tent, and it was heated with oil.
Okay. You dig a bunker?
I'm sorry?
Did you dig a bunker?
Foxholes.
Foxholes.
And I used them. We used them a lot. We had a plane they called Bed Check Charlie would come over, and we thought that we were assuming from the way he was bombing, he was throwing them out the cockpit. But anyway, when that siren went off, we got into a foxhole. Everybody had foxholes. And if you wanted one, you better get in it quick.
What kind of airplane was he flying?
Just a little small one-man plane.
Yeah.
It looked like a trainer to us. But he never tried to bomb us, but he was trying to bomb the ammunition compound, which was just down the road from us.
Did he ever hit it?
He wasn't real good. No bomb sight.
How long are you in Korea?
18 months.
18 months. What's your best memory of Korea?
Well, I like the people that I dealt with. I really liked the people. I got acquainted with a couple of farmers. They were making rice paddies down, and I got acquainted with them because they wanted to talk, and I liked the people. We did lose, one of our men shot a young man trying to get through the fence of our compound. They told me, what they would do, and they did. They burned him up on the mountain. We could see them burning him for 2 or 3 days. They educated me on how they buried their people and how they lived, but I was never in any of the village huts.
Yeah.
Of course, all we had was huts then. This town that I'm telling you about, Chuncheon, was nothing but huts. We had no paved roads anywhere in Korea. The speed limit was 25 miles an hour. I drove a lot when I could get a chance. It's a good country. Of course, their main thing is the farmers.
Yeah.
That's farming south.
Now, did you ever go into Chuncheon?
Oh yes, went through Chuncheon a lot because to get to go to payroll, we had to go through Chuncheon to finance to pick up the money to pay.
Did you pick up the money?
Well, the script. And I was there, of course, when they changed script. They changed that so that they could stop the flow. That was an interesting...
What happened?
Well, we picked up all the money, or all the script. They had to turn it in if they wanted new script. We were on, me and one of the exec officers and I, the exec officer and I, went to payroll or finance to get it changed, and on the way we got stopped. Mama San stood right in front of our Jeep and stopped us. We couldn't go past. And she come up and told us that she had a box full of script. She said if we would change that for her, we could have half of it, him and I. And we asked her if she knew how much she had. It was thousands of dollars. And she said, you just give me half of it. You all can have the rest. And of course, we refused. Some of the men used monopoly money that night when they went to the village. And that was a kind of a funny experience. They were using monopoly money down there till 2 days later when they got their money.
What did that mama son do when you refused?
I guess she just backed off because she knew we weren't going to take her money. We don't know if she stopped another company. We weren't the only company that was changing. Everybody in Korea changed their script at the same time.
What's your worst memory of Korea?
Well, I was operated on once in a MASH unit. You see this MASH on TV. It's just exactly like you see. Those guys that one of that operated on me told me, he said, I was a doctor. I had a thriving business and I got drafted. Well, that's what happens to those men on MASH. And I thought at the time, you know, that how similar. But MASH is a little bit deceiving. I never saw a snake, which they refer to. I never saw a rat, which they refers to in Korea. Never saw a snake or a rat.
Now, you had an operation?
Yes.
What kind of operation?
I was operated on in the back. I wasn't shot in the back.
Okay.
I didn't get shot in the back.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was just in there 1/2 a day.
Just tell me some incidents that happened while you were there.
Well, you know what a scrounger is? I was a scrounger. I had connections that was well known. I did not drink. Still don't never drank alcohol at all. But a friend of mine was able to get cases of liquor for some group, and he would give me a case. I would put the case, hide it in the bottom of my footlocker. Then, for instance, our commanding officer came to me and he said, Jaggers, I want some tar paper to go around the inside of my tent. Said, it's freezing me to death. So he said, get me some tar paper. I said, how much do you want? He said, I'd like 2 rolls. So I go with, under my field jacket, a couple of bottles of liquor. And I made a place where I knew would have some tar paper. So I switched it out for him. We had our colonel, the head of the colonel that was head of the 32nd group, he was throwing a big party in his prefab one night. He told my commanding officer, said, I'd like to have some ice cream. Ice cream in Korea, unheard of. So my commanding officer says, Jaggers, Colonel Taylor wants some ice cream. What can you do? Well, the colonel ended up with 2 5-gallon containers of ice cream, and I'm out 2 bottles of liquor. So anything, they wanted a pair of boots, I would go to 45th Division, rear, which was supplying 45th on the line. And I would go down, set a bottle of liquor on the counter. They would set me up a pair of number 12 boots. We switched, and everybody was happy. But I never made money, except I started loaning money. I would loan, guys would gamble away. They'd say, Jaggers, can you loan me 10? Can you loan me 20? Blah, blah, blah. And I always had money. And then I would stand outside of the orderly room on payday. Pay me. And the commanding officer asked me one day, he said, Jaggers, what do you get for that? I said, oh, I get 50%. He took me in and read me an AR. And he said, let me show you what you can get. I quit collecting there. I collected in the back. But anyway, that was some of the exciting things that we did. After the ceasefire, Joe, it got very lax.
When was the ceasefire?
July
Of 53.
53.
You got relaxed after that.
It become more stateside.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we had a ball team. We began to play ball with other companies. It was, it was very, very back to the States then, where they were a little more relaxed and a little more strict about what we could do and what we couldn't. But after the ceasefire, matter of fact, I began to do some training, would hold classes, whichever they wanted me to teach, and I would teach some of the classes. And I like my officers. I like my officers. I like my warrant officers most. My warrant officers were fine men.
What was their job, the warrant officer?
The warrant officer was, one of them was in charge of the motor pool. Another one, he was in charge of communications between the medical and us. That was something else that we seen a lot of. The helicopters with the stretchers on each side, just like you see in MASH, they flew right over our compound. Just before the ceasefire, they came like flies, flying them back and forth, because there was a lot going on. A lot of men died. Joe, the last half a day, more men died in Korea than died in the last 2 months.
Why?
Because the Chinese was trying to push as hard as they could, and they threw everything at us. Now, I'm not a politician, but we were not allowed to fire. I don't know why, but they threw everything they had at us. I mean, it was literally, when BedTech Charlie came over, now this sounds funny for the engineers to have 50 caliber aircraft machine guns. We had 4 set up in our compound. But we had 4 set up in our compound. We were never allowed to fire at that plane.
Why?
We don't know. We were never given an order to fire on that plane. We didn't know.
Any USO shows come through?
Not to us.
Okay.
Marilyn Monroe came to 45th K-47, the Air Force base down below us. But Marilyn Monroe came there. I've got a lot of pictures of Marilyn Monroe.
Did you go see her?
No, I was on duty that day.
Now, why didn't you go into artillery? You had all this artillery training.
I don't know. That was, you mean when I was here in the States?
Yeah, because why weren't you in artillery in Korea? You had all this training.
That's not the way the Army does it. They sent me to the engineers. And there I'd had infantry and artillery. And I never fired enough. Now that's when I lost my hearing though, was in basic. Because you stand right behind the gun. You didn't have earplugs or nothing else. And they're loud. And that's when I lost my hearing.
Tell me about coming home.
Well, I got my orders to come home and sent me to Incheon, which is up halfway. Just, let's see, it would be west of Seoul on the coast. Well, we had to go in landing barges to get out to the ship because they had already blown up all the ports and everything. We got on the Marine Adder. All of them were called Marines, but they were the Marine Adder. And we got on the Marine Adder. We went to Yokohama, picked up 350 Japanese sailors, and brought them back to the United States, which the United States had given them two or three ships, and they were coming. Mm-hmm. So we had that many Japanese on board our ship.
What was their attitude, these Japanese sailors?
Very standoffish from us. Mm-hmm. They didn't communicate at all. Whatever we wanted to do, that was our ship. They backed off on us. In other words, if you were standing at the urinal, they backed off. If they were there, they got away and let you use it.
And anything happened on the trip home?
No, I didn't even get seasick coming home. But I did learn. I ran onto a couple of guys from Oklahoma. One guy from Oklahoma, two guys from Kansas, and they played pitch. And we played pitch almost 14 days coming home.
Well, I didn't ask, what was your warrant officer's name, do you recall?
Sir, what was his name? Gosh, seemed like it was like an Irishman. I can't remember his.
Okay.
But I remember our commanding officer.
What was his name?
Williams. We had, and then the exec was Lieutenant Newhoff, and then till he went, Lieutenant Stewart, Lieutenant Newhoff, Captain Williams was our commanding officer, and our first sergeant. Oh God, that's the only ones I can remember. Yeah. But they came and they didn't know what to do. The officers, they would come. Of course, I was personnel. They would come and say, "Jaggers, what's my job and where am I supposed to be?" So I would take them, place them, and that was my duty, to make sure those officers knew where to go.
Where'd the ship land?
When?
Where?
Seattle.
Seattle. When you first saw the coast of the U.S., what'd you think?
Hooray! I'm home.
What'd you do after the ship landed?
We got just as fast as we could. They put us on a train, another troop train. And we went from Seattle to Fort Lewis, Washington, Camp Carson, Colorado, okay. Colorado Springs. And there we were to be mustered out. It took us 3 days.
And you were discharged when?
Oh gosh, July, August 24th, I believe.
Of 53?
53.
53. What'd you do after you got your discharge?
Started my first job.
Where?
My wife met me there.
Yeah.
No, well, she met me there, and then after I was mustered out, we went to Texas to see my folks, and then back to Coffeeville, where I was going to start college.
When did you come to Bartlesville?
Sir?
When did you come to Bartlesville?
Second time?
When did you come to Bartlesville?
Well, I was here in 1952.
Okay.
I worked for Ozark Airlines. I don't know if you remember when we had 3 airlines. Okay, I worked for Ozark till I got drafted, and then we came back here in 1960.
What did you do for Ozark Airlines?
I was station agent.
Okay.
And then in 1960, we came back to Bartlesville. and I went to work for the Examiner Enterprise.
Okay. Was the Air Force Base still here when you were working for Ozark?
Oh, yes.
The radar hill there?
Yes, yes.
What kind of installation was that?
What kind of
What kind of installation was radar?
radar? I'm not sure what they did out there. We never were able to get on the base. I did sell all of our furniture, or all of our house furniture, when I got drafted to one man, and we moved into a furnished apartment. And but we were never allowed to get up into there.
So what'd you do for the Examiner?
I was the advertising manager.
Okay.
25 years.
25 years. Who was your supervisor?
The president was J.L. Jennings. Ralph Smith was the manager of the paper, and Russell Porter was the advertising director.
And when did you retire?
Sir,
When did you retire?
I didn't.
You didn't.
No. When I got to be 55, the company made it so rough that I left and signed up with another company.
Okay. And you left the Examiner when?
1985.
1985. Would you join the Army again?
At my age, or if I was young?
If you were young?
Yes. Knowing what I know now, yes.
I'd like to do a word association. I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction. The first one is basic training.
Rough.
105.
Howitzers.
Troop train.
All Army.
SS Marine Lynx.
A ship.
Korea.
No place to be.
Oh, come soon.
Oh, comes our houseboy.
Douglas MacArthur.
One of the finest generals that I've known. If we'd have left it up to him, the war would have ended a lot sooner. But that's my opinion.
Harry Truman.
That little son of a gun got me in, but he was pretty good.
Dwight Eisenhower.
He was good. Good man. Good general.
How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? As somebody that people can depend on.
Anything else you want to talk about?
That's it.
Oh, what's your wife's name?
Leota, Leota.
Where'd you meet her?
In high school.
Okay.
We grew up together. Got married in 1950.
1950.
She was 17 and I was 18.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, good. I'm glad you liked it.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Well, tell me something now. You were in service.
Yeah, I was in Vietnam.
You were in Vietnam? I thought you were in Korea.
No, I was in Vietnam.
Where did I told you, I said Joe was in Korea, I think. You were in Vietnam.
Yeah. And Desert Storm to go.
All right, let me ask you something. If you had to go to one of them, which one would you rather go to, Vietnam or Korea? Knowing what you have heard about Korea.
You know, that's a hard question. Because we didn't know who the enemy was in Vietnam. Probably Vietnam because I'd been there. I'd know what to expect.
Well, I've talked to other Vietnam veterans, and they said, God, we would have hated to be in Korea.
Yeah.
I said, why? God, it was so cold. I said, yeah, but now me, I've been to Korea. I would have hated that jungle. I thought that's all that was over there was jungle. I wouldn't have wanted that at all.
I was up in the Central Highlands, up north. Up north, there wasn't any jungle up north.
Oh, is that
Oh
right?
yeah, no.
No jungle.
And Vietnam's a beautiful country.
Yeah, I always felt, you know, I felt so bad when they didn't let them, when they walked out of Vietnam. Joe, in Vietnam, you lost 38 men a day. In Korea, now that was the length of time the war was on, you all lost 38 men a day. In Korea, the length of time we were on, we lost 33 men a day. And I forget what the World War II. But anyway, you know, Vietnam, 38 men a day. Why didn't they just bring them over here and stand them up in front of their families and say, we're going to kill them and you take them and bury them where you know they're at? Over there, they maybe never get them back. But I'm not a politician.
Not either. Anyway, thank you.
Joe, you're doing a good job.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it.
You really do.